is I want to put everything back the way that it was. I look and I see that my pilot tubing is on the inside of my manifold. See that? And then it goes underneath, all right? And this is called a flame rollout cover. I see that that's a 1/4 inch. So what I'll need out of here, which is what you got me right here, thank you. I've got this thing's worth its weight in gold. So now I come in here and I'm going to get my 1/4 inch nut driver. And I'll go ahead and take this. Hey, how about that? Okay, I put the tool back where I got it from because that way, especially when I'm overtired. Now, there's my second screw there. All right, now, I see that this thing just lays down flat, okay, but I'm going to have to get this out of the way here. So this has just got a little keeper. So maybe I can go ahead and just pick this and turn it a little bit, okay, and then I see that it just comes on out, okay. What I used to do in the early days, lads, is then I would take this and I would actually go back in with it, and then I would lay it down again just to see how it went back up, how it fit back in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So then, I'll get this out of the way here. All right. Now I look, and this has an actual keeper here that holds the burners properly aligned. Remember how we talked about how important it was to keep the burners aligned?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this comes with an actual keeper here that does that for us. All right. So I can just lift that off. All right. And then I'll just set that maybe over here as well. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to take my burners out, but before I do that, I'm going to take my pilot assembly. I'm going to loosen it here. All right, and I see that those are a couple of big screws there. So I'm going to use a big flat tip. Okay, and now because I always put a drop of oil on those, theoretically these should come out okay, all right? They should just be able to turn. You will find when these haven't been taken or anything, you'll snap them off. You have to like drill them out, okay? So I go ahead and I'll take this. And all I'm doing is just being methodical. Look at that, one screw at a time. And that's the key, guys. How does it come out? And now, here's something that got a bunch of students here, and I don't know who it was, but that furnace in the back there at school, that was the standing pilot, when they went to put the pilot assembly back together, lads, they put this part on the outside here when I see that it's on the inside, see? You see this part here is on the inside. Okay. Right there, it's on the inside. Now, 2 wrenches that I told you that you will for sure be using all the time is a 3/8 and a 7/16 because the pilot tubing break away ferrule. So now I'll come over here, and I know that these are my wrenches. And again, it's keeping your toolbox organized, okay? Okay, so we come here. And there again, this is where when we divide up the furnace into sections, okay, so then I go ahead and I set this back where I got it. And then I'm going to put this screw that came down, and this is a machine screw. All right, and now I see, now remember, this is what's important. This is on the inside of my manifold, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure it goes back that way. And then I make sure that this piece is on the inside here of my keeper, okay? All right, now I'll go ahead and I see where this is put in here. Now this yellow wire is called ignition, and it's going to be thicker than most, and you'll learn this when we get the modules. This supplies the spark. Now remember, we ignite 3 ways: by spark, flame, or hot surface igniter. So when this sends sparks, guys, this is 20,000 volts, okay? Now again, here's where this Sharpie marker comes in. All right, I take my Sharpie marker, and I want to make sure that I put it back. So look, I might do something like this. Watch, I take this and I put a mark right here. Hey? Mm-hmm. Then how about I put a mark right here? So that tells me that that goes right on that ignition right there, doesn't it? Okay, I do not like to pull wires off with fingers. I don't like to do that because it stresses them and you can get a loose connection. So what I like to use is something as a needle nose here. So I take my needle nose and I go ahead and I have my needle nose and it pulls it right off. Now, as I see, this is actually on the inside of my gas piping, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, and that's the way that I want it to go back, all right? Now, I look and I see that I have another wire here, and this one is going to what it says sense, all right? And this is the flame sensor wire. As we move along, you're going to learn, lads, that when something goes wrong in a furnace, it's because a safety device has done its job. So this is a flame sensor wire that senses a flame, and when it sees that flame, it sends a signal in the form of microamps back to this board. And the board says, okay, I have a flame, so let's keep the gas valve open. If this flame sensor was fouled or it was bad, then what would happen is this signal would not go back to the board and it would shut off the gas. So I look and I see that it's my flame sensor there. It's coming back here to where it says sense, okay? So what again I might do, all right, I might take my Sharpie marker here and I might put something like 1, 2, 3, and then I might go to sense here. I might 1, 2, 3. So I know that those 3 need to match up, those marks, right, guys? Yes. All right, and this is just a basic fundamental thing. You have to remember, you will be at people's houses when you are overtired and overworked, so on and so forth, all right? And again, you see how I use my needle nose to pull the wire off, okay? All right, now this pilot assembly has to come out, so I'm going to have to cut this zip tie here and then, do that. So, again, I put my stuff back exactly where I take it from, because when you're overtired and you lay tools out everywhere, you'll be looking at them, but you won't be seeing them, okay? And these are tips of the trade, fellas, that I actually have seen with my own eyes, that in things that have happened to me, all right? Okay, so now I've got that, okay? All right, now, again, so now I have this, and then I'm going to come on out, okay? Now, again, I want to encourage you to always have the homeowner there. Again, you don't know whose house you're at, and I assure you that Mr. Salo is an individual who, to be a helicopter mechanic like he was, I can only imagine the knowledge. Secondly, he's not an idiot, okay? And thirdly, he's had people that have hosed him, okay? So he's a guy that wants to know and he wants to see what's going on. And again, you're not going to pull the wool over his eyes. So you always need to be aware of the fact, like in this particular customer's case, he might be doing something, but you can rest assured he's not gone for long, okay? And he will be down here, okay?
Did Woody lube my gas valve before,
there he is.
Before he moved it?
There he is.
Talked about it, yes.
Okay, so now I have to take this manifold off to get these burners out. So to do that, I'm going to have to take these conductors off of the gas valve here, okay? So you see, lo and behold, I speak about Bill Salo being here, and there he is, okay? And I've been here for a few times, guys, and still, you know, and that's what it should be. You should always encourage the homeowner to be there. You want him to see that A, you know what you're doing, and B, you want him to know that you're an honest guy, so on and so forth.
I think you've been here 16 times now.
Oh, and see, Bill would know that. All right. So now I look at this, and I want to go ahead and make sure that I get it. All right. So how about if I do something where I take my Sharpie? Okay. So now the other thing is to read a schematic. Okay. But let's just say that as of yet, you know, you're not proficient at reading schematics. So, you know, you'll get there, but there's nothing wrong with doing this. So if I put a mark here, a 1 on this orange, and then I go ahead and I put a mark right here, see, then I can go ahead and I can pull that off. Here, I'll take my needle nose. Again, I do not like pulling wires off with my fingers because you run the risk of loosening, you know, the actual connection to the fitting, okay? All right, there, so that one is off. Then on the second one, I might go ahead and I might say put 2 on this one. So there's 1, 2, and then how about I put 2 right here, see? And there again, I got that one. And then what am I going to put on the third one there, lads? 3. All right, so 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, so now I take this one off. Now, if you wanted to, I could do something where I take my notebook here and I could put from left to right orange wire at terminal 1, blue double wire at terminal 2, and then red and brown wire at 3. You could do that. I mean, this is all these are techniques that I'm showing you, okay? Now what has to happen is in order for these burners, because now we learned just yesterday that the manifold is the piping where gas comes from and it goes to the burners and the place to which the burners rest on. And you can see that they rest on these fittings. And what are these fittings called here that come off of the manifold?
Spuds.
Spuds. And what is the hole called? That's right. All right, so now to get this, I'm going to have to crack the union. Now, this is where I want you, when we started to do this, and this was what yesterday's lab was about, you have got to get used to learning how to use backer wrenches and counter wrenches and using 2 wrenches together. You cannot wrench on pipes with just 1 wrench because you will put too much stress on the other part. So the first thing I do, my technique, is I'll just take 1 and I'll go ahead and I'll measure it up. All right, so I get it measured and then I'll go ahead and set it down. Then I'll go ahead and take my counter wrench or my backer wrench, because remember, I do not want to stress this manifold because I could snap it off. All right, so you come in here and start He-Man stuff, all right, and you could end up snapping this off. This gas valve is nothing but soft steel, okay? All right, and now I come in here and I'm going to bank on or take the chance that I don't have to get up for this because I always put a drop of oil. Now, wrenches work best when they're close together like this, guys. Okay, so as I'm going to pull up on one to loosen, I'm going to press down on the other. Okay, but I got to get up to get some leverage going here.